Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including 3 Tesla delays, the Model Y continuing to be a bestseller in new countries, the first robotaxi testing zone, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, the Tesla Model Y is continuing its ongoing streak of being the best-selling car across many different markets around the world. In addition to being the best-selling car in the world, the Model Y was also officially the best-selling car in Europe as a whole, specifically in the month of September. The race for the top spot in that market is a highly contentious one, but ultimately that's Tesla's second time this year hitting that coveted spot. In the month of September, the company sold 28,680 units in the continent and were about 8,000 sales ahead of their next closest rival. The Volkswagen Tiguan came in second place that month, having sold 20,762 units for comparison. The Model Y has seen a lot of new competition crop up in that market as of late, but none have had the same level of success that Tesla has seen. Still, other EV brands are starting to do pretty well on that continent and abroad. For example, in August of this year, BMW actually outpaced Tesla's EV sales for the first time in Europe. Tesla makes a great product in the Model Y, and while it still sells considerably more than the competition, options aren't as limited as they once were. This is still a very impressive accomplishment, and it's great to see that Tesla is still doing so well in that market and around the world. With all of these really compelling EV options coming to market now, I'm curious to see how this impacts Tesla moving forward. What do you think, though? Will Tesla's upcoming Model Y refresh and affordable vehicles be enough to keep them on top, or is the competition from other brands going to close the gap sometime soon? Leave a comment below to let me know. Next up today, Tesla is known for a lot of things, but a big part of their story is delays. Of course, many of their products or predictions have come early, like the release of the scaling of the Model Y, the build-out of multiple factories, and more. But more obvious than that comes the delays in products like the Cybertruck, releasing almost 4 years after its originally announced date, the Semi coming far later than expected, and of course, self-driving. The fact that Tesla delivers these things at all is ultimately what matters most to people, but still, we're recently seeing a few pretty big delays from Tesla. A few come with future products, and then one comes with their current bestseller, the Model Y. Right around the corner, we're expecting a Model Y refresh. We've even seen some leaks lately indicating that Tesla has begun production of the refreshed Model Y, at least in prototype numbers, out of Giga Shanghai. It seems it'll either have very thin headlights or a light bar across the front, much like the Cybercab. Beyond that is the light bar across the back and the updated interior to match the Model 3 refresh. In any case, while we await this refresh, Tesla is actually in the middle of a delivery hold on the Model Y. While Tesla doesn't like to abide by the yearly refresh cycle of cars, their cars have to be categorized each year by agencies like the EPA for certification. As such, the 2025 Model Y has to receive its approval, and as of right now, the 2025 Model Y is awaiting its range certification and cannot be sold. Quote, neither Tesla nor the EPA have provided an estimated date or further details on when the delivery hold will be lifted. Usually this procedure is normal and wouldn't affect customer deliveries, but for some reason we're experiencing delays this time around. For some, this leads to speculation that this is Tesla holding to get the Model Y refresh certified. It'll have some changes that will affect range, so maybe that's what is going on here. But most likely, this is simply the same Model Y, switching from 2024 to 2025 in its classification. Maybe Tesla made a mistake or the EPA is backed up. For customers currently awaiting delivery of their 2025 Model Ys, Tesla has notified them that their delivery is on hold. Reportedly, all rear-wheel drive Model Ys built from October 1st on are in this situation as well. As of right now, there is no update on the timeline of when this hold will be released, but it is expected to occur relatively soon. Tesla is running a number of deals like a 0% financing deal that requires delivery by December 31st. Of course, customers are going to want to be able to take advantage of this, but more so, Tesla wants to be able to deliver those cars to reach their record yearly delivery goal. With that said, this isn't too new for Tesla. Earlier this year, the Model S and Model Y Performance also experienced a delivery hold due to EPA range retesting. These retests came after the EPA made changes to their testing methods, and Tesla also made some changes to their vehicles. These new EPA testing methods are so far proving very accurate in the real world, so they are a welcomed change, but it is odd to consistently see Tesla in this situation. I personally wonder if Tesla keeps making a mistake here, or if they simply move too quickly to get things certified without delay. They do like to make rolling changes on their cars throughout the year, so an EPA certification process, which let's say in theory takes about a month, may always slow them down if they're iterating on their cars, let's say every couple of weeks. Either way, we expect this delivery hold to be released shortly, but there actually isn't any official timeline given from Tesla or the EPA. Are you currently in this situation though? Leave a comment below to let me know if your Model Y delivery is on hold. On the other side of things, for future products, comes Tesla's next delayed product, the Roadster. Tesla announced the Roadster in 2017 with some incredible specs, but since then, the launch of this car has been delayed and delayed and delayed. Now again, Tesla has delayed the Roadster, but I'd actually argue the only delay comes in the form of them being asked repeatedly the same thing. Each time Tesla is asked about the Roadster at this point, they reaffirm something along the lines of, quote, "The reason it hasn't come out yet is because the Roadster is not just the icing on the cake, it's the cherry on the icing on the cake." Tesla is clear that the Roadster is not a priority, and that, quote, "Our larger mission is to accelerate the progress towards a sustainable energy future. Try to do things that maximize the probability that the future is good for humanity and for Earth." So that necessarily means things like that are kind of like dessert. While Tesla has in the past said the Roadster would be coming out finally in 2025, this time they basically gave no updated date. Quote, "We'd all love to work on the Tesla Roadster. It is super fun, and we are working on it, but it has to come behind things that have a more serious impact on the good of the world. So thank you to all our long-suffering Tesla Roadster deposit holders. We are actually finally making progress on that, and we're close to finalizing the design. It's really going to be something spectacular." At this point, Tesla has been talking about a 0 to 60 in less than 1 second, aided by rocket thrusters, other rockety stuff on this, and the ability to fly. So the Roadster has a lot to bring, but it's clear that Tesla has other priorities. Given a 2026 timeline for the Cybercab and Tesla's heavy focus on FSD improvements right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla has no internal timeline for the Roadster's release. They'll keep working on it as their test bed of insane peak technology, but actually bringing it to market, we'll see. The other thing for them is that they actually owe refers about 80 Roadsters, so they'll immediately lose at least a certain chunk once this comes to market. Of course, they still need to do that, but I imagine that is at least a slight consideration on their side for a low-volume, expensive niche sports car, while they're trying to revolutionize the entire transportation industry with a robotaxi. On that cheaper side of things as well, one could argue that Tesla has either canceled or delayed the $25,000 Tesla. While Tesla plans to make more affordable models in the first half of 2025, it's clear that the robotaxi is that $25,000 car they've talked about for a while. When asked about this, Elon said, quote, "We're not making a non-robotaxi $25,000 model. We've made very clear the future is autonomous. My strong belief, and I believe that is panning out to be true, it'll be very obvious in retrospect, is that the future is autonomous electric vehicles. Having a regular $25,000 model is pointless. It would be silly. It would be completely at odds with what we believe. If you try to make a car that is essentially a hybrid manual automatic car, it's not going to be as good as a dedicated autonomous car." Based on these quotes, it seems Tesla never plans to make an affordable, drivable car, because once unsupervised FSD really comes to fruition, people won't need an affordable car that they can drive. Driving will become something niche, and for those who really want that experience, they can buy those niche cars that may be more expensive. Instead of bringing vehicle affordability down a little, they want to bring it all the way down thanks to self-driving, shared robotaxis. With that said, this has the large caveat of Tesla achieving the unsupervised FSD that they have talked about achieving for years now. If Tesla is unsuccessful here, especially in a longer time frame, say into 2028, that's where I think things could shift. Instead of no $25,000 drivable Tesla, we may actually see that car come to be, and thus have been heavily delayed. The robotaxi will have been built out, and thanks to things like steer-by-wire, Tesla could fairly minimally adapt this vehicle to be something small, drivable, and as always, eventually capable of unsupervised full self-driving. Of course, though, the hope is that Tesla does achieve this, but time will tell since it has not been done before. So Tesla is currently in the middle of a few delays, but the most important thing right now is the Model Y, which could affect sales this quarter. Most likely, though, they are still continuing production, holding cars, and will be able to resume and catch up on deliveries shortly. Next up today, the recent We Robot event from Tesla gave us our first real insight into their robotaxi vehicle and what that service may look like. Many were skeptical of this product before and after we got to see them in action, and while they were operating in a controlled environment, the vehicles at that event performed very well. Still, there is a world of difference between driving around a closed movie set and the realities of operating this vehicle anywhere in the country, without any way to step in if it made a mistake. Working with governments was always going to be a part of realizing this service, and it seems like Tesla is already close to striking a deal with one city to begin testing. The city of Palo Alto in California is currently considering a deal with Tesla to be one of the first public test grounds of the Cybercab service. The city has operated several rideshare services over the years meant to expand access to affordable transportation for residents, but those programs have run into funding issues over the years, making them difficult to continue operation. This deal, while still in its early stages, could be a way for the city to provide low-cost rides without having to bear the cost of those services. Elon has talked about the Cybercab as an alternative to public transportation for a while now, and this is an opportunity to really put that notion to the test. Palo Alto is the current home of Tesla's engineering headquarters, so starting this pilot program there would make a lot of sense. It would be closely monitored by Tesla's engineers and would allow them the opportunity to fine-tune the experience on public roads, but in a semi-controlled environment. The deal is still in its early stages, but if the city does choose to pursue it, that is ultimately not the end of the discussion. California's Public Utilities Commission and the DMV are ultimately responsible for authorizing these vehicles to operate on any public roads in the state, and they haven't given such permission. We haven't heard any word on when that approval might come, but it's very promising that local governments are interested in working with Tesla to pursue this technology. This would be a perfect case study for the Cybercab, as it would provide a real-world example of the exact situation that Elon has posed this vehicle as a solution to. The current Palo Alto rideshare service costs approximately $4 per ride, and it remains to be seen whether the Cybercab could provide their service at or below that cost. The robotaxi is ultimately still a business with a goal of making money, compared to a city bus which just provides a service at the cheapest possible cost. Many have also been critical of the Cybercab's two-seat design and questioned whether it can be really a viable alternative for public transportation. While public transportation will certainly always have its place, the Cybercab in its current iteration will actually be able to handle most people's needs quite well. According to Tesla's own research, approximately 82% of all miles driven in cars are with 2 or fewer passengers in the vehicle. The Cybercab would be a great way to replace a lot of those cars in a much more efficient manner. At the same time, Tesla also shared a new video of the Cybercab that shows all of the use cases they have here. Obviously, this was filmed at the Warner Brothers lot where they held this event, but it shows people hailing rides, using their iPads in the car, and much more, which is the ultimate vision of this vehicle. You don't have to supervise whatsoever. This news out of Palo Alto is very exciting to see, and I can't wait to see what comes out of it. If approved, this could be the first of many geofenced areas of operation for these first autonomous cabs, and then we could see it expand greatly from there. But as Tesla will always remind us, this service should come before the dedicated Cybercab even comes with the Model 3 and Y and Tesla's other vehicles. Last up today, some updates from other automakers. Over at VW, they just excitingly relaunched their Scout brand, but this time it's fully electric, or at least mostly electric. They've released 2 new cars, the Scout Traveler SUV. This has a starting price of under $60,000, with a range that they predict to be up to 350 miles. Right off the bat, those are some pretty solid specs, and they do have an option for a 500-mile version, but this is with a built-in gas generator. To a lot of electric vehicle fans, this is very disappointing to see. 350 miles is great, 500 miles is really great, but you're adding gas into the mix, so this really is kind of just a hidden hybrid in order to get to that 500-mile mark. For towing capacity, it can do 7,000 pounds, and then it can reach 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. It will support NACS, so it will fully have that Tesla plug on the side instead of going with CCS, which is great to see. It will have an 800-volt architecture, and this enables 350 kilowatt fast charging. On top of that, it will have bi-directional charging capability, which I think at this point with vehicles of this size is pretty much essential going forward, so I'm glad to see it. For its functionality, it will have 35-inch tires, 12 inches of ground clearance, and 3 feet of water fording capability. Production is set to start in South Carolina in 2027, and you can reserve yours today for $100. On top of that, they also made the Terra pickup truck. They unveiled both of these cars side by side at this event. This will start under $60,000 and have essentially the same specs, except for towing capacity. 350 miles, 500 miles with a built-in gas generator, towing capacity of 10,000 pounds, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, and then the front seat does have bench-style seats. This is something we've seen in a number of EV prototypes that get people very excited because you can seat 6. However, once it comes to release, it doesn't actually come to be. For example, the Cybertruck was originally announced and showed off with a front bench seat. But then when it came to be actually released, it did not have that, and this is likely due to safety with the big infotainment screen right there. So they've shown this off, but many doubt that this will actually come to fruition by time this actually launches. As for the bed, it's a 5.5-foot pickup bed, and it has 2 120-volt power outlets along with a 240-volt power outlet. This one also will start production in South Carolina in 2027, and those $100 reservations are now open. The first thing that people are pointing out right here is the similarities to Rivian. If you know about Rivian, they actually just partnered with VW for software. And when we look at the software on the Scout, it does look a lot like Rivian. So the question is here, is this a conflict of interest with them releasing essentially the same looking cars as the Rivians, or are they different enough and fully designed differently? We'll have to see, but I am excited to see another competitor in this adventure truck space. Speaking of Rivian, one very exciting thing coming to all current Rivian customers is the Spooky Halloween update. This was released on October 18th, and it had special themed modes, including Back to the Future and Knight Rider. These are called vehicle skins, and they alter the infotainment UI with custom music and sound effects, along with lighting. For the latest versions of the car, it also does lighting on the exterior, and these features just look really cool. Knight Rider mode has the signature kit red light. Back to the Future mode has themed lights with an 88 miles per hour button, and then there are fun visual elements all around that we've kind of experienced in the past. Pedestrians will become zombies on screen, and there's all sorts of Halloween touches. On top of that, Rivian has made some improvements that are more than just fun. They've improved the driver infotainment display, they've added Dolby Atmos support on Tidal, they've added camera upgrades, and done various bug fixes. Overall, Rivian's software approach is very similar to Tesla's, and in this particular case, I have to say, as a current Tesla owner that did own a Rivian in the past, I'm a little jealous of this update. I would love to see that fun Back to the Future upgrade for the infotainment system, at least for a period of time leading into Halloween. Some people would argue that this is kind of a waste of the engineer's time because it's just fun, but we have to have fun from time to time, and if you're trying to argue that this is a waste of time, fart mode on a Tesla probably falls into the same category. Either way, Rivian is definitely demonstrating what they're capable of here when it comes to software, and that they're dedicated to giving features to current owners, not just working on those next vehicles coming out the gate. Over at Chevy, one of their most exciting cars in a while is now available for order, the Equinox EV LT trim, which starts at $34,995. This gets a 319-mile range with its front-wheel drive variant, qualifies for the $7,500 tax credit, and positions itself as one of the most affordable EVs on the market today. Not only is it affordable at that price, but when you take off the tax credit, you're looking at $27,495. This makes it immediately competitive with other cars like the Toyota RAV4 without even subtracting gasoline savings or anything like that will truly make your cost of ownership cheaper. For Q3, sales of the Equinox already hit 15,000 units, so this should help increase demand from here as long as Chevy or GM can keep up with production. My real question here is how much money are they losing to get it into that price point? It's great to see a $35,000 EV, but if they can only sell a certain number of them before it makes too big of a dent into their losses, then they're just going to stop making it eventually. I really hope that they're truly figuring out how to make this $35,000 version of the Equinox profitable, because if they can do that with this range of 319 miles, it will really change the market and force people like Tesla to have to compete directly in that price point. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see my full review of the 2024 Performance Model 3 after a month of ownership, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.